So I'm the disappointing half of the Penge double bill. Penge is great, Hi, I'm Pat. Yes, I'm a producer and a curator. I co-run some events. They're all great because I'm amazing.
Including Beat Public.
Yeah, Beat Public, which is in November. It's a night for theatre and video games and the crossovers between those. Anyway, I'm going to start now. This is performance part. It begins with you up a ladder. You're painting your ceiling. All your furniture is covered in those massive pieces of cloth that painters have, and apparently people on TV always seem to own when they need to indicate that the house is being done up during an episode. Life is good. The phone rings. You try and answer the phone, and whilst doing so, you fall off your ladder and die. You fool. Didn't you know you have to get off the ladder before you can answer the phone? One thing at a time. Looks like the Stranglers will need to get a new manager. And so ends your first attempt to play Oral Quest, a text adventure that came free with Oral Sculpture, show and tell, see, the 8th album by the Stranglers. Now that was written by the band's drummer Jet Black using the Quill, a text adventure writing system. Oral Quest is an odd journey through what it must have been like to manage the band. In my playthrough, I managed to rescue the band from jail, had my passport stolen when they got lost in the British Embassy in New York, before finally being fired by the band for accepting a fraudulent check from a dodgy promoter in Japan. And you also have to find pieces of a giant ear for no real reason. Because it's on the front cover, there's a big ear. It goes in an art gallery at the end for some reason. Anyway, this is the bizarre world of games by and about musicians. A world where Motley Crue have a pinball game, and that's considered totally normal. Now, Kavinsky, a musician, most famous for doing the music from the film Drive, which I've not seen, but it's about hitting things and stuff, isn't it? To 80s folk music. Now, he released an album in 2013, and because we're living in space year 2013, they also released a mobile game to help promote the album. Pretty standard these days. Sorry, this mic sounds really freaking me out. It's right in my face. Sorry. Now, that's pretty standard fare, except for one thing that really got my goat. On the description for the game in the App Store, the devs proclaimed that Outrun was the first ever video game based on a musician's record. Now, I'm quickly going to explain why Kavinsky is wrong, or the devs are wrong, I'm blaming Kavinsky. So games about musicians, and by them, that I think are really interesting, or odd enough to talk about, to kind of find a reason for why I bought all this shit off eBay mostly, and basically explain why video games are really bad history. Now, I'm a bit of a hoarder, as you can see. This is not even like half of it. I buy all sorts of games ready junk. Mostly, I buy games that interest me, either through the format they were released on, or by the very fact they came into existence at all. Games like Surf Champ, which I've yet to find a cheap enough copy to own, which was a game on the Spectrum or the C64 that you played by mashing a tiny plastic surfboard onto the keys of the computer. Or this game, which is the rise and fall of the Empire, the complete works of M. Dickey, a person who mostly makes these amazing, ridiculous wrestling sims and music sims, but also made like the best religious game ever, when he made the New Testament, where you can play a disciple of Jesus and you can be like 12 foot, and it's all based on his wrestling sim engine, so everyone fights all the time. If I could do a whole talk about that game, or you should play it, or there's an amazing PC Gamer article about it. Anyway. As well as this, like there's also stuff like Diamond Trust of London by Jason Roher, which he kickstarted. It's the only DS game ever to be kickstarted, and he sent it out with actual diamonds when he sent them to people. It's about diamond smuggling, and they were all like diamonds that were illegally smuggled and so worthless and couldn't be sold. And he bought them off like eBay or something. The Knights of the Crystalian on the Amiga, which was made by, I can't remember who made it, Bill Williams. And it came with an audio set of music and like a book of poetry. And I don't have an Amiga. As well as all that, oh, and Limo of the Lost. Limo of the Lost is amazing. This is a game which they started making for like in the 80s or something for some really old PC. Spent like 20 years trying to make it, and then they released it, and it was found to be full of stolen assets and loads of games like Thief like everything basically. They took Elder Scrolls and it ends with this just bizarre sing-along with a load of zombies and stuff. Now, also, like, I have this collection of like weird video game vinyl that I love. This is Pymania. This is like music from Chris, what's his face? Mel Croucher and Automata, who are famous for making Deus Ex Machina. I've got this record of jungle remixes from Ridge Racer. Tomb Raider picture disc. The theme tune from Space Channel 5. Apollo 440's theme to Rapid Racer, anyone? I have the Thompson Twins Adventure game on FlexiDisc. And finally, this one, which is Chris Sheevy's Camouflage segment. This was Chris Sheevy's most famous as Frank Sidebottom, the guy from Timperley with a massive big J head, who was the influence for that film that I kind of refused to see because, fuck you, Frank Sidebottom's more interesting than your made-up Frank. But before he was Frank Sidebottom, he was like a musician, like under his own name, and he released this single, Camouflage, which comes with 3 ZX81 programs on the back of it, one of which is a music video for the song on the front. But the other one is a game called Flying Train, where he plays a railway naut who is trying to view a supernova by landing flying trains onto the back of other trains and avoiding birds. He also made a game called The Biz, which was a satire of like music industry, that came on the back of his single I'm in Love with the Girl on the Manchester Virgin Megastore Checkout Disc. She later had to change the title to Asserted Manchester Record Source before it being sued. Now, this really caught my imagination when I came across it, because he sat and made all those games himself and pressed it on his own record label, and just like the whole process of having to record that onto cassette tape, like, and playing it into your ZX81 to play these games this guy had made, was just like magic. Now, also on Spectrum, there's the Shakin' Stevens game, where you drive Shaky around a maze, avoiding vampire bats to get into the old house in the middle. It's never explained in the game if that's the same house from the Shakin' Stevens song, This Old House. It's also implied in the game that Shakin' Stevens is a vampire, because the house is in the middle is full of vampires, but you've got to get shaky there before sunrise. Princess Superstar, you might remember from Bad Babysitter, which was like a number 11 hit in 2002. Now, her previous album, Last of Great 20th Century Composers, features such hits as Do It Like a Robot, Sex, Brackets I Like. I hope I sell a lot of records at Christmas time. And on this album, there was a free game made by Princess Superstar in collaboration with a guy called Jonah Brooker Cohen, who's a digital artist and game maker who works under the name Coin Operated. The game was called Be a Princess Superstar. It was an instructional series of mini-games about how to become a Princess Superstar. Taught you how to dance, how to kick ass, how to stay clear of smelly people, and finally shoot down major labels in Princess Superstar's spaceship. She describes on her website as the object of the game is to collect 4 valuable items and also to stay independent, because we all know the underground is the true creative force. So get out there and kick those major labels' butts, get your dope beats, answer your cell phone and get that cash. There's also the Frankie Goes to Hollywood game, which is kind of fairly famous. He plays a person in Liverpool and you're trying to find the pleasure dome. You have to up your sex, love, war and faith stats to become a human and enter the pleasure dome, and you also have to solve a murder. I don't have a copy of it yet, but Paul McCartney, before he did that awful song for Destiny with the holographic video where he's singing it a load of bored Destiny characters, his musical Give My Regards to Broad Street, there was a tie-in game for that where you drove a taxi around London taking people between tube stations for some reason. And there were so many other games I could talk about, the Queen game, the game about Prince, Iron Maiden's game, Aerosmith, which is quite famous, the Kiss game, which is based on a comic book about a Kiss tribute band who become magical. And also they released a pinball game as well, because aging 80s rockers love pinball games. 50 Cent games, of course, the 2 Journey games, there's loads of weird Japanese games that I'm not going to get hold of yet. Spice Girls game, Wu-Tang Taste the Pain. Which is amazing because they have all the music's like the first 20 seconds of Wu-Tang songs, because I just couldn't fit the full songs on the disc. So you just listen to like the first 20 minutes of one Wu-Tang, first 20 seconds of one Wu-Tang song over and over and over again. Like, I could talk about all of those forever, because I'm clearly an idiot. But I want to talk about a couple of old games first, before I kind of sum up what I'm yakking about. And those are, this is where it gets exciting, Eve by Peter Gabriel, Explorer 1 by Peter Gabriel, and Trey Luna by Mike Oldfield. So the Peter Gabriel games are these collaborations between Peter Gabriel and various programs and video artists. They were released like kind of late 90s and that kind of boom of CD-ROMs and people doing really interesting things with them. They're kind of these weird, amazing packages full of like just really odd things that Peter Gabriel made with these people just because like, fuck, it fits so much on CD-ROM. But Trey Luna came a bit later, like 2003 I think, and it's basically like a walking simulator. Like you walk around the desert and like you just interact with things and poke at things and like I heard Ed Boon there, sorry. I'm just trying to give people a frame of reference. But yeah, and it's like it's all based around the music from the album and uses loads of stuff and it's this really amazing like piece of visual art basically out here. Like even like Oldfield and the team who worked on it were like, this is so out there, no one game's gonna get it. So they refused to make their own engine and stuff because they're like, you can't use like a normal engine because games people were like, why isn't this like that game? And so yeah, like, and he also made a follow-up game called Maestro, which used loads of parts of his 2003 reworking Tubular Bells. Now both these like I find a lot more interesting than like Frankie and stuff because they kind of take Oldfield and Gabriel's work and music as a starting point and just let other people run with it. And they get involved with it, see how it can inspire others. And not caring for like genres or styles and like they're merging parts of video games and music and visual art and video art and the work of CD-ROM artists in the 90s and just kind of pushing it all together. Like, these are pieces of work by those artists, they're not promotional items, they're part of their back catalogue, they're not there just because Peter Gabriel was like, I've got this new album now, no one's going to buy it, and let's like make a load of weird video art. It's kind of, a lot of this is kind of gone now because the state of musician games today is stuff like R. Kelly's game Black Panties, in which, I quote, it's raining cookies and cash up in here, the more you can snatch, the more the panties will drop. And you play as R. Kelly jumping around a lighting rig, grabbing cookies and cash, while ladies who are dotted around the lighting rig drop panties for R. Kelly to grab. And if you get enough panties, you can enter a sweepstake to win a copy of his album. It's clear that R. Kelly didn't come up with that, or like he might have come up with that concept, but he wasn't clearly there going, guys, I've got this great idea. What if like I could grab some black panties on a lighting rig? It was someone's like, we need to make games for the album. And it's just this kind of, it's like the Linkin Park mobile games, in which like it's the future, it's desolate, like, punch robots, and they have to tweet about the Linkin Park album to get more energy to punch robots. Just like, what? Like, I don't like Linkin Park, but you could do like something really interesting and just make people punch robots and tweet about Linkin Park. Like, it's sad that like musicians have kind of stepped away from being more hands-on. Like they're not. It's not about an artist expressing themselves anymore. It's all promotional crap. And it's like Peter Gabriel and Mike Oldfield and things like Princess Superstar's thing. It's or like a drummer just writing a game in a text adventure engine because like, they're probably bored on a tour bus, or like a guy writing some songs, making some weird, silly games to go on, and then just putting it all out on their own record label, pressing it themselves. And the musicians were central to the act of creating these games, and they're expressive, and now it's just promotion. So kind of drawing this long ramble through my eBay habits to a close, I'd like to explain why I love this shit. And it's discovering all these ridiculous games and things that just like, shouldn't have happened. And it's returning to that statement about Kavinsky's game that theirs was the first game to be based on an artist's music, and how incorrect that is. Like, the reason I think that can get made is that we as a medium really need to do a better job of understanding, exploring our history, and remembering what came before us, lest we just fall down this never-ending slide of hype and innovation. And it's like in the mid-2000s when every fucking enemy cover was like, oh my god, the pigeon detectives are the new libertines. It's just like, what? I don't care who the new libertines are. Just tell me what's good. It's not the pigeon detectives. But like, to do this, we need to encourage groups and curators who work to explore and expand our history. Groups like, I'm going to reel off a list of amazing people now, like Femicom, which is run by Rachel Weil. Sorry, I'm going to mispronounce so many names right now. Which is an amazing project to document and spread the history of so-called girly games and hyper-feminine games, which do make up a huge part of our game history and so many people's personal game history, but are maligned or ignored due to the fact they are feminine games. Or projects like Unseen 64, a place where volunteers and people who work in the industry post beta screenshots and versions of games that never came to pass or like just completely changed because someone came out and like, no, get rid of that dog. Like, in fact, the Unseen 64 community recently were involved in helping bring to the public a prototype of Sound Fantasy, an unreleased SNES game made by Toshiya Iwata. Oh, mispronounced that horribly, sorry. There's a guy who made Electroplankton, who's an amazing like sound artist and charged in the right, made this amazing game, made like several other weird games that just kind of faded. But like Unseen 64 are bringing that back to the public, and like the last couple is, I don't know, Eric Volsky, who runs Before Mario, which is this amazing blog documenting Nintendo's history before they started making video games. Because they used to like make all these just like amazing, weird like toys and like, yeah, like the Ultra 7 game stuff. It's just like, but like it's this is an amazing book of just the past 100 years of Nintendo before they got bogged down in games. And finally, like Scroll magazine, which is much missed by me. It was amazing. It's run by a guy called Ray Barnholt, and it's basically like a magazine about weird niche areas of games that otherwise people wouldn't talk about and explore. So like companies like Artthing, Millennium Kitchen make all these amazing games about summer holidays in Japan in the 70s. Warp, who are most famous for making D2, and a couple of other weird games. And stuff like issues about cute games and just all amazing, and like cheat codes. There's an amazing one about Teenage Mutant Ninja Hero Turtles games and all those. And like I think it's well worth grabbing all of those magazines. You can get them not in physical versions, but clearly I like objects. And like you can learn about these weird areas and bits of games that are often overlooked and forgotten. And all these people are well worth checking out, giving some money to if you can afford it, just like engaging with. Basically, in short, I think musician-centric games are important to pay attention to for me because no one else really is, and no one else seems to care that all these amazing musicians made all these weird games. I think we need more people sharing their weird niches and obsessions, or we will just lose so much of our own history. And that's kind of my ramble. Thanks.